Hey guys, editing Rohit here. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to say that this was our first time using Zoom. So there was an issue where we were on speaker view rather than gallery view, and as a result, the name tags won't be there. Uh, so here, I'll just list out the names now, and hopefully this helps you get an idea of who's who. Uh, we have Rohit, Nick, Felix, and Albert. So yeah, hopefully this gives you an idea of who's who, and you guys aren't as confused. Sorry about that, but without further ado, let's get into the episode. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, what's up? This is CAP number 2. Again, Cal's podcast where we discuss anime. Uh, Today, I'm joined by 2 other Cal students and a special guest. So first, I'm Rohit. You might know me from the last podcast. I'm currently a writer at Conchu, but I'm running for vice president next semester. So hopefully we get that. All right, Nick, introduce yourself.
Oh, we're talking about what we're running for as well. Hi, I'm Nick. Um, I'm also a writer in Khonshu and video editor in Khonshu now. I think everyone's a video editor at this point.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm running for president and maybe vice president. We'll see like how things pan out.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
All right, Felix, introduce yourself.
All right, so my name is Felix. I'm a first year at Berkeley, and so far I'm not running for anything, so not very ambitious for now, but yeah, that's about it.
But you talk so much on the server. You have like so many deep conversations. Holy shit. And then finally, our special guest, Albert.
Oh dear. Hello. My name is Albert Yang. I don't actually go to your guys' school, but I think I'm cool enough to hang with you guys anyway. So that's incredibly flattering. So I work as a senior content operations associate at Crunchyroll, which I'm assuming a couple of you guys may have heard of. Little known company out there. It's kind of growing.
Small indie company.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not too bad. But I've been there for about 4 years, and I've been an anime fan for most of my life. And yeah, I guess for like a really quick plug because I'll probably talk about this at some point. I also run events for like a social meetup group called the Bay Area Anime and Gaming Meetup. And yeah, it's basically a place for like-minded adults to come together and form connections through anime and games. And that's my plug.
Awesome. Yeah, super cool. So like as our special guest, we're gonna kind of like have the first part of the discussion like more tailored towards you and like your kind of journey, and then we'll kind of split up. So we'll split up questions. Like I'll ask a question, then Nick will ask a question, then Felix will ask a question. All right, sound good?
Sounds good.
So yeah. So your current position you said was senior content operations management. What exactly is that?
So senior content operations associates is basically I'm responsible for the management and handling of various video assets. Well, video and metadata assets that come in from our various partners or production studios. So for example, I handle a lot of the videos that are used for PR, for promotion, or for various events such as like Crunchyroll Expo, or things such as, let's see, Crunchyroll Expo and content that goes on like say Facebook or YouTube, and just doing various edits to it. On the other side, my team is also responsible for actually making sure that the videos that you are able to see on Crunchyroll actually get put up there. So technically, if something's not up on time, you can yell at me, and I'll usually direct that yelling to somebody else. But you can yell at me and say like, hey, why isn't this up right now? I need to watch Haikyuu at X o'clock, and I need it right now. That is a common complaint that I have received. But yeah, specific wise, I also do a lot of communications with our various partners, especially on our platform Verve, which is a collaboration of various different streaming services that was put together by Crunchyroll. And that's often in regards to making sure that all of the materials are delivered on time and in the proper format, and asking for redeliveries if things fail. Yeah, I think that's just about it.
Wow. Okay. So definitely a big role.
I've also been there for about 4 years, so it's evolved a lot since I started. But yeah.
So yeah, what's your everyday life like when you're working at Crunchyroll? and just like pre and post quarantine would be great as well.
That's actually a pretty good point. So I should mention a little bit that I actually got a promotion. More plug. I got a promotion at the I got a promotion at the very beginning of the year. So unfortunately, because the quarantine did sort of occur at the beginning of the year, it's a little bit hard to describe exactly what like has sort of evolved. But prior to quarantine, I would basically be going into the office, usually having a good number of meetings, just discussing various agenda items, such as like making sure that everybody who is assisting with the ingest and making sure that the shows will go live are sort of on the same page, and ultimately interacting with the various different teams to make sure that materials are actually being provided. So for example, I do a lot of discussion with the brand management team, which is a team that is ultimately in charge of actually acquiring and putting together the various materials that my team, the cops team, would eventually like put online. And yeah, it's actually a pretty complicated process that unfortunately, due to company policy, I cannot reveal a whole lot about. But basically, the TLDR gist of it is lots of meetings, lots of coordinating and talking with different partners. And yeah, I do have time for personal projects though. And it's really nice in that I just, I can get a chance to explore and trying to figure out where I can sort of develop and evolve my role. Post quarantine, I guess I'm pretty fortunate that my role hasn't been too heavily affected by all the stuff that's been going on. All of my communications can be easily done through Slack, and all my work can actually be done remotely. But it's kind of sort of a lot of the similar things. Because I am a senior position now, I do have a couple more responsibilities in that this whole the process that we call ingest, which is making sure that the stuff that gets delivered over by partners does actually make it onto the site. So I do a lot of the supervision for that. But otherwise, sort of leading my own projects, just making sure that the meetings, the various meetings that we have do sort of address all the notes that we want to cover. And on the other hand, we do also have a remote team in Moldova, which is a small country all the way close to Romania, I believe. And because they're a new and upcoming team, I'm sort of in charge of managing certain aspects of it. So basically giving them assignments, teaching them about some of our various processes, and making sure that they can basically cover night shifts when like the US team is asleep and whatnot. So been pretty busy, all things considered, but
Wow.
yeah.
All right. So, like, and also like, do you think you miss like your office life, as in terms of like?
Oh, totally. God, yeah. Like, so I guess we'll get to this eventually, because I noticed that there was a question asking about stuff that I really did enjoy, but basically, you can kind of think of Crunchyroll as just a big gathering of nerds that decided to actually sit down and make something happen. So I actually like really, really loved going into the office, because the people who work there, and especially my team, are all just fans of, if not necessarily anime, fans of something. Like, we're all geeks about something.
Okay.
And so it was very, very easy to just kind of like get together and just really, really talk to people. I hang out with these folks like oftentimes for dinner parties, or just like getting like Korean barbecue or something silly like that after work. And overall, it was just a very, very chill environment. And yeah, that's definitely something that I miss a lot with this current sort of quarantine. Just, not being able to talk to them nearly as much.
Right.
Yeah, but maybe in due time, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. Heard you guys are back in lockdown. I'm in Chicago, by the way.
Well.
But yeah, I heard you guys are back in lockdown. So I guess we'll see how things pan out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Berkeley's still going to be in quarantine for next semester. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Remote learning.
Oh, God. Yeah, I can't even imagine what that's like. But yeah, we'll get through it.
For sure.
Yeah, so I see your position at Crunchyroll has kind of evolved a lot throughout your career. So can you maybe elaborate a bit more on your path and maybe what has led you to pursue a career at Crunchyroll?
Okay. If you want me to start at the very beginning, it's admittedly not very interesting. I imagine that some of you want to be. I imagine that you guys do want to know how I eventually got the job at Crunchyroll. But long story short, so not really a long story. I'm going to go for a rant again. Okay, whatever. Let's do it. Basically, I started out in college as a computer science engineer. Was doing that for quite a while, and once I got out of college, I was fortunate enough that I immediately got a job at a software engineering firm. That being said, I wasn't very good at the job. I admittedly only really did computer science because I sort of had the idea that computer science would be a very profitable and sort of stable career path. Yeah, it turns out it wasn't actually something that I was too interested in, and I ended up actually getting fired from the job like just less than a year after I had been hired there. So that was lovely. But took some time off, started thinking about what I wanted to do, and decided that I probably should do something that I actually enjoy and I actually have some sort of passion about. So I really, really love drawing and animation. So I figured that a happy medium that involves both these interests and my computer science background would maybe actually go into animation. So ended up looking into a various sort of animation sort of graduate programs and colleges to sort of like put together a portfolio. And eventually I discovered that there was this program in San Francisco run by San Francisco State University, primarily for graduates or college graduates. And if you complete all of their courses, you get like a fancy little certificate that says, "Hey, hire me." And so I figured that, okay, I can do that. So I packed my bags. I left Cleveland at this point. My hometown is Chicago, but I went to school in Cleveland and got my first job in Cleveland. Left Cleveland and came to San Francisco. The big lesson and takeaway from this story is don't do this because it's actually incredibly risky. I came to California with just the intent of studying, and I had no income. So basically, I was taking classes for a while, but very quickly realized that I was running out of money very, very fast. So how did Crunchyroll work into this? Well, as it turns out, Crunchyroll happened to be in the exact same building that the SF State extended campus was located. It's basically downtown. Do you know if you guys know where the Westfield Mall is? Crunchyroll, I should say, used to be on the 7th floor of that mall, and SF State's College used to be on the 6th floor. So yeah, I actually didn't even come to San Francisco with the intent of working at Crunchyroll, and just happened to be there. And after applying for jobs for nearly another year and absolutely almost running out of my savings, Crunchyroll sort of came in like an angel descending from heaven, and they were just like, "Come to me, child, and we'll take you." And that's how I got my job at Crunchyroll. That's not even kidding. So for the actual question that you guys asked, so how I got my job, how my role evolved actually. So when I got my job, in part because somebody on the content operations team was actually just about to leave for Japan to sort of branch out his role and like basically pursue some of his own interests. And they basically needed somebody to really just fill in his role of basically doing a lot of this ingest process and video distribution. So prior to that, prior to myself and this other girl that came in at the same time that I did, it was very literally just my boss doing all of the ingests, making sure that all the shows are launched, and basically he needed help. So the first part of my job was actually just following him along and making sure that I could actually do the sort of tasks that he was doing and helping him cover places that he wasn't able to get to.
So you started as management, kind of like
assistant of management.
I see.
Yeah, our team is actually fairly small. So it literally was my boss, 2 other people that were handling 2 other major roles, and me and this other girl that got hired. And in regards to handling a lot of the various shows that would launch, say like at 3 a.m., It was literally just 3 people basically assisting and
Whoa.
making sure that all of that went live. So that was fun. I did actually have to wake up at 3 a.m. because Crunchyroll has a whole thing that says like, hey, we're gonna launch it. We launch an hour after this premieres in Japan. Unfortunately, what that means is that like, yeah, it's the middle of the night for us. But there's some wackos that will, get really, really uppity if like say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure didn't go live on Wednesday at 1 a.m. So, I had to take care of that. But eventually we got more team members to help us out with that. It's not nearly as stressful. I did mention the Moldova team before, which basically they're the ones that handle the night ingest because night for us is the middle of the afternoon for them, so it's a lot easier. But yeah, I was basically doing a lot of assistance. Eventually, my role sort of evolved in going in a direction with helping out with the various other teams. So for example, the whole management of videos for promotional purposes, that was something that I eventually sort of grew into. It was supposed to start out as a team collaborative effort, but then it just turned out that I was doing the vast majority of them. So they were just like, Albert, it's your job now. So I'm just like, yeah, okay. So it actually was just something that really evolved based off my personal interests. I personally really liked talking to various other teams or getting very, very involved in the anime process or like sort of like what goes on behind the scenes. And meanwhile, the girl that joined my team was very much on board with like a lot of like the video sort of, I don't want to say editing because it's not quite a video editing job, but it was a lot of lines of just like making sure that the video will look its best when put onto our various platforms, that being Crunchyroll and Verve.
Right.
And she does a lot of like the technological side of things more so than what I do nowadays, which is a lot of cataloging and just partner contacts and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, hope that answers your question.
So the two of you started off with the same position and then eventually evolved into separate positions?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
The really, really cool thing about Crunchyroll is that I firmly do believe that while everybody does sort of have their own sort of starting roles, you really can sort of cater it to whatever you are sort of interested in. And that's sort of what I did. And even now, like I'm sort of trying to see where else I can really go with this particular role. That's probably confidential and I can't go any further than that.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That's all right. So you tailored it to your own needs. How was like, well, like I know a lot of people at Berkeley, they're like in computer science and maybe they're in it for the same reason as you were back then, right? Like how do you think that like did your education really matter or was it more like the skills that you displayed?
I really want to say that at least for my particular position, it definitely was very much just the skills that came with it. Actually, one of the deciding factors that I had was that I was during my interview, or rather the practical interview, I was given a job, basically just a page of JavaScript that was basically the metadata for one of the shows that we would receive. And my now boss would basically ask me, hey, figure out all of the errors that you find here. So I basically just took the JSON. I'm just like, okay, well, this is wrong. This isn't right. What is this format? This is a Photoshop document, and just went down through the entire thing and just handed it back to him. And yeah, so my computer science background definitely did come into play there. My last job did also require some sort of manipulation of .json manifests, so that helped a lot. But now, admittedly, I don't actually do a whole lot with programming. Every now and then, I do get a sort of job that's like, okay, we need you to take about these 1,000 files and basically sort them by these particular formats into this particular form. And here, because we know I expect you to do it manually. And so I'm giving you 2 weeks to do this. So I take one look at that and then I'm just like, I could just write a Python script for this. And so I did that and I finished it within a day. And it was a terribly written Python script. The runtime was horrendous, but I got it done. And, so there are always moments where that just does come to handy. And I will say that when it comes to, so one aspect of my job I should mention is helping out with the various basically the tech teams, so like the video teams or the CMS teams, whenever various parts of Crunchyroll or Verve experience errors. So this usually means something along the lines of, oh, this video is no longer playing. Why is that? Because the cops team is essentially in charge of making sure that the videos are actually working as intended on the product. Oftentimes they'll come to us and basically ask us to test certain aspects of the, basically test certain aspects of the player and the videos. And if need be, like, run various like video re-encodes, which basically creates the various sort of playable formats that basically allow you to watch Crunchyroll on a bunch of different devices, say it like, on your computer, on like on like a console device, or like your cell phone, for example. So having some background in regards to how our backend server is put together, having a computer science background definitely does help a lot with that. Granted, there was a lot of just learning on the job, but definitely going in with just knowing that, okay, this is this sort of structure, I can sort of expect X, Y, and Z to sort of happen. Makes things a lot easier. On the computer science side of things, it really depends. I know people are always quick to jump onto like stuff like software engineering. With Crunchyroll specifically, because we are a streaming service, there are aspects of it that are a little bit more unique to Crunchyroll than say some other sort of like a software engineering career at like Google, for example. So we have a lot of user data, for example, right? Everyone has to come in and make accounts and whatnot. So a big part of the IT role is security and making sure that data doesn't get lost, making sure that various payments are actually going through and whatnot. So, having a little bit of knowledge in regards to that particular aspect certainly goes a long way.
There's like a whole lot to it.
It is, yeah. I
thing.
will say that one of the challenges is just making sure that everything can run smoothly, just because there's so much happening all at once. Again, can't really go into too much detail as to like what goes on there, but like I think one thing to realize is that it's just a lot of collaborations. It's because, especially if we're like reaching out to various production studios and whatnot, it's just making sure that it's a lot of communication, I guess, and making sure that all of the parts are basically just, all of the parts of the all the parts of the machine, the various cogs and everything are actually like working and like doing the things that they should, and sometimes sometimes stuff's not, processed properly, and that can cause a big hiccup in like the, in the sort of workflow like down the line. But I guess that's just something that does happen with across every other company. Crunchyroll is certainly no different, but yeah, just it's volatile, but it's also really fun at the same time.
All right. Yeah, so let's transition now into like the Google form-based questions.
Oh boy. Okay.
I think there are a lot of like stuff that I didn't want to really ask you because it would be more like business related, and you can't go into specifics.
You can always try if you really wanted to like ask anything specific. I'll say like, okay, I can't really elaborate on this point, but like there are certain aspects that I'm sure like a lot of people are very interested in, so I'll try to share as much as I can.
Yeah, and through the magic of editing, we can always just cut that
out. Yeah. Okay, so here's an interesting one. I don't know.
Hit me.
Exactly. So how do you guys deal with toxic comments about Crunchyroll on social media?
So there is actually a whole team for this. This is called the audience development team. The audience development team, if you've ever, I'm not sure if they really do it nowadays because again, being out of the office does sort of remove me from a lot of conversations, or just being exposed to a lot of conversations. But the audience development team, first and foremost, are the people that basically make sure that stuff actually goes onto social media and does all the various promotional things for all the shows that come out. Like every other big company, you just kind of have to turn a blind eye to a lot of them, which is a bit unfortunate at times.
Right.
But that's just kind of how the process works. We do try to. I want to say that we do try very, very hard to address as much of the various complaints and sort of critiques that we have. but ultimately, I'm sure that the audience development team sort of has their own process for how they want to handle it. But I think for the most part, like, you know, we see, okay, this sort of problem's happening again, then, you know, we just got to take it in stride and try to do better next time. It's really all we can do, because
Right.
a lot of time when somebody's complaining about something, if it's like a really quick fix, then sure, it might be something that we can take care of right away. But sometimes there's only so much information that we can provide. You know, it's still the best way to get some of these things addressed as soon as possible, and maybe like to get problems that might be occurring to various things over to me, is to really just send a customer service form. Those are actually the various forms that get sent over to my team in regards to like video errors and, you know, something that I can potentially look into. But yeah, don't think that's quite the answer that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean,
Again, it's not my team, so there's that.
yeah.
I mean, just for all of the haters out there, listen, guys, customer service form.
Yo,
it's there for a reason.
Yeah, yo, but for real, customer service has it rough. Like, I don't know about, I'm just speaking about this generally. Like, if you ever work in customer service, yo, props to those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we try our best. I like to think that everybody is doing what they can to make sure that Crunchyroll is operating in the best possible format. Obviously, from my position, I can't obviously address everything, but yeah, everyone does. I like to think that everybody at Crunchyroll does tend to have the push, like making sure that the site is up and running to the best of its capabilities, and making sure that the shows that people want to see and want to talk about are being talked about. I think it's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Let's go into more fun questions now. I think
Sure.
we're the last one was a little depressing, but
No, not really. I talked about it a couple times.
okay, really?
I mean, like, you know, I told you before that I do run a meetup group,
Right.
and because people kind of do recognize that I'm like the Crunchyroll guy, and, you know, people, you know, various people will come and ask me questions and whatnot. So, you know, I am pretty used to answering these sort of things. But yeah, fun stuff. Fun stuff is fun.
I just noticed your hoodie.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
So
golden
Let's
wing.
go,
I have
Jojo.
yeah. So one thing that I will mention that I bought this hoodie is that I was a model for a brief period of time, and basically, yeah, whenever we have stuff going on the Crunchyroll store, some of the clothing items that you see on the various models, those are just regular employees that like picked up and was like, "Yo, you're hot. You want to like?" And I had just gotten a new haircut like towards the beginning of the year, and someone saw me and like, "Albert, you're okay. Yo, you want to put on this hoodie?" So I put on a hoodie, and I got a hoodie. You know, and like, this thing is sick. I would turn around and show you the back, but that's spoilers for JoJo Part 5. And unfortunately,
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, but that's a nice ego boost at least.
yeah. Yeah, no, this thing's very, very good material. You know, Chicago is going to be very, very cold. I'm very, very happy I brought this whole thing over. It's 100% polyester. I'm definitely just shilling for the company right now. But it's incredibly soft. I do recommend to anybody looking for JoJo merch.
yeah,
I
we
think
have
there's
so many JoJo's fans in the club.
Oh, dude, I imagine. Like this Discord group, actually, we are doing a whole JoJo rewatch leading up to Part 6, whenever that's going to be happening. And
my God,
yeah, most people have already seen all of JoJo. So the fun really comes from all the newcomers coming in for the first time and knowing absolutely nothing about it. Like, we're on Part 4, and yeah, we're on Part 4, and we just got to the episode where like Echo's Act 3 was like, okay, master, let's kill the hoe.
Killed the whole.
Yeah, and that was awesome. And like, we had to pause the video because everyone was just like talking about what the fuck just happened. No, JoJo, man. Oh my god, that's a shit. Anyway, yeah.
All right. So I think we're going to be using some submitted questions, right? And we're going to be going into the fun ones this time
Okay.
around.
Yeah.
Good.
So what's your favorite show and favorite manga? And why is it Dragon Ball GT? I don't necessarily agree with that.
Dragon Ball GT isn't a manga. Yeah, I kind of combined like questions from other people, but yeah.
No worries, no worries. So my favorite show, I like using 3 examples. I think there's also another question that I'm very, very prepared for that does sort of talk a little bit more about this. But my top 3 favorite shows on rotation, depending on my mood, are Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann,
Nice.
Gintama, and Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. Like those are 3 shows that came in during very, very important aspects of my life. And I mean, they're all great shows in general, but in like, yeah, those are my top 3. They're things I can rewatch over and over again. And I think they've really, really shaped my sort of overall attitude towards what I do, what my interests are, and what I do look for when it comes to anime these days. My favorite manga's interesting because I actually have been reading a lot less manga as of late. I'm still reading One Piece, although so a little bit more out of obligation because I need to see how it ends. I'm this far in at this point. But I'm reading Chainsaw Man, which is sick. And the most recent chapter was just complete violence. And I'm just like, fuck yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Chainsaw Man, go read it. Hella good. Let's see. Dragon Ball GT, honestly, Dragon Ball GT, I feel like is in this very, very special sort of like location, right? Because when Dragon Ball craze was at its like, Dragon Ball craze is huge. Dragon Ball had finished airing on TV, and the only thing that people really, really wanted was more Dragon Ball. And people were eventually so desperate that they were willing to, the anime companies were willing to adapt somebody's fan fiction and make it into a
Right.
reality.
Yeah.
Is how I've been seeing it. So basically, it was 50 Shades of Grey before 50 Shades of Grey. So you know what? That's pretty legendary to me. Like, holy crap! Everyone's gonna keep talking about Dragon Ball GT for the rest of time. Like, that's how big of a thing it is. It's still a terrible show, but that's how big it is.
All right.
Oh my god, yeah.
Who sent that question? I need to know.
Anonymous Badger.
Wow. Okay, you can't say that.
I mean, no. He sent that question and then he sent me the correction. Oh, like Dragon Ball GT is not a manga. Sorry.
Oh, what? Okay. All right. Good to know.
All right, so next one. What do you think is the most influential anime?
Do you want a serious answer, or do you kind of want a joke answer, or
whatever you want to do?
Whatever you want.
Okay,
Maybe both.
I can do both. Okay.
Sounds good.
I think Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the most influential anime ever created. You want to know why? Because remember back in the day when we're all like, all those happy little pirate sites going around like advertising for anime, you can just go through the entire library. Why the fuck was Avatar: The Last Airbender always in that catalog, right? You was always getting these sort of discussions talking about like, oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender was an anime. Okay, cool, but let's just put it with all the other anime and like have this discussion. Like, was Avatar: The Last Airbender like good enough such that it finally eclipsed and got into it's good enough to be accepted as anime? What the fuck does that mean, right? But if you really, really think about it, I don't know if Avatar: The Last Airbender was the first, but it was definitely one of the most prominent. Nowadays, with Western animation, especially like what you see on Netflix, like it's a lot of things are taking a lot more, like, a lot more of a grittier approach, a lot of things that, you don't normally expect from what people will quote unquote classify as like a Western cartoon and whatnot, right? So I think we actually owe a lot to Avatar for like doing an expansion of anime and anime related sort of properties and IPs here in the West. So,
Right.
and at the end of the day, if you go to Japan and just, call something, and literally everything is animated. Like everything that's animated is just called anime. So, I think it's a pretty legit answer. Like, did you know that Shrek's voice actor in Japanese is just All Might? That's facts. Like, look it up.
Let's go.
Yeah. Like Shrek is anime, and you can't tell me
Beautiful.
otherwise.
Okay.
I'm sure that there were better answers, but I thought that was funny.
I mean, it's all about you. Like, I think everyone, we can go around and talk about our different.
Yeah, no, go for it. Like, I'd like to hear your guys' opinions too.
I'll go last because I can't think of one because I haven't watched that many.
Ooh.
Ooh,
You're
okay.
and you're running for what, vice president?
Okay. But it's like I feel like I'll say something super like mainstream or something because I haven't watched like any of like the 80s, 90s stuff. I've only watched like the modern stuff.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, even if you're talking about just mainstream stuff, like the
Right.
fact that it's mainstream is pretty interesting in
I
in of
guess.
itself
Yeah.
and like influential in of itself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
So yeah.
I really think
like
that
if we think about anime that like got people into the community, right? Like I think that would be pretty influential. So then like SAO would fall under that umbrella.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty influential. I mean, I know that it was one of the first anime I saw, and I was
Right.
like, "Dang, this is pretty good." And then I watched more anime. I was like,
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
like a rite of passage, like into the community. like
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really so like talking from like an industry perspective.
Mhm.
So for record, I hate SAO with a dying passion. So you told me, but
right.
like ever since SAO happened, like it kind of did sort of shape a lot of the landscape for what you get nowadays, right? So after SAO, I think the next big thing that happened afterwards was Mahoka, or like a regular at Magic High School,
Mhm.
and that sort of like set off the whole
Mhm.
like everyone going to high school and like having
Right.
superpowers, and but all the
And then
girls
MHA or whatever.
yeah, and all that
okay.
stuff. Like, yeah, so like SAO, like even now, it's like, you know, it's still getting adaptations. I think there's like a new season that's coming out, or I
Yeah.
think it's a movie.
It's I think it's the rewrite kind
Yeah,
of
the
the first
progressive.
arc.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'd say like SAO is a pretty influential pick.
Yeah, I
For
guess there
sure.
was what we can see with that is kind of before SAO we had these like super powerful godlike characters like in DB, like in Dragon Ball,
Mhm.
and nowadays you have these very normal characters and you give them superpowers. And
Yeah.
you see,
Yeah. So like you hope to relate to them in some
yeah, kind of.
fashion.
Yeah, making them a blank slate essentially is how the typical formula
Yeah.
goes.
And then we also have Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Can't talk
Yeah.
about influential anime without mentioning Eva. That's true.
I mean, it really did change everything when it came to anime originals and just like anime or otaku culture in general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for its
definitely.
release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it was like first launched, like I know that people in the company would probably know a lot more. Certain people in the company would know a lot more, but like, I think when it first launched, it was like on like, you know, like Saturday morning, what's the equivalent of like Saturday morning cartoons and whatnot. So
Right.
that aspect was also like pretty like, holy crap, wait, don't hide the kids and all that.
And one thing about Evangelion is that it's really the prime example of a financially or a successful anime. You have a lot of stuff around it that really brings a lot of money in the industry. You have all of these figures. You even have these advertisements. I know there were like art books of Evangelion millennials, I think, and even lately, I think this year there was this kind of advertisements with that use the array for some products.
Did I buy that?
Yeah,
Oh god.
I don't know. There's a lot of advertisements that use figures from Evangelion. So yeah, it's really important, I'd say, in the industry.
Yeah, and
for
it's
sure.
it's a tad bit ironic that the merchandising is so like so powerful when it comes to Ava because like from what I remember, Hideaki Anno, the director, generally didn't really have a positive outlook of like anime merchandising.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, some people say like the new Star Wars movie, right? They got like the BB-8 robot. Like, oh, they just created the character to sell the toys. Like,
Yeah,
so
And yes,
which
it's
is
even
debatable. I
brilliant.
mean,
yeah.
yeah.
But I think Eva's art style is so like iconic, or like not art style,
Yeah.
but like aesthetic.
The
It's
aesthetic,
very
Yeah,
iconic.
definitely.
Definitely.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like you can buy Ava cologne and whatnot.
Whoa, yeah.
It's pretty insane. Like I think there's like a YouTube video out there that was just like, hey, can you survive off of
Oh yeah.
Evangelion merch or something like that? Like got really popular a while back.
Whoa.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, sorry. You can go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna like, sorry, I was gonna get like, you know, go off on a different tangent and whatnot. But Evangelion, I think, you know, it's a lot to be talked about.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to have a mecha episode in the future where like we set like all like the really hardcore Eva people and just have them talk about like
Yo,
Eva
Yeah.
and Gundam for like an hour.
just
'Cause we-
like no script, just go.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We were already having the beginnings of that argument in like the
Yeah, in the last
live
episode.
stream. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
in
live
the live
act.
stream
Whoa.
chat, you guys were going off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like did
it
you
was
guys
crazy.
hear that like Funimation acquired the rights to like Gundam or something like that?
Yeah, they got the streaming rights, so they
Streaming
don't
rights.
have the license, but they got the rights to stream it from Red Stuff and Sunrise.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So
That's
far,
a pretty-
they only have the original and Unicorn, I think, but they might have more in the future.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a pretty big acquisition overall.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And another thing about Ava is like after its release, this like the anime industry just started making more and more weird anime, which I was like, yes. Even though I wasn't around when it came out, but as a retrospective, thank you for Serial Experiments Lane.
Oh, dude. Yo.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That one screwed me up as a kid.
Oh.
God.
And
Yeah.
then also Code Geass.
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing. Gotcha.
I mean, even now you have a lot of things that we could even call Evangelion clones. I mean, Darling in the Franxx to
Yeah,
name one, but yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like similar people, same people made it and whatnot. They don't call
Yeah.
themselves Kynex anymore. But, yeah, fun times.
So yeah, I'm gonna table Eva for a little bit just so we don't like go off into the episode.
Yeah, we need to avoid Eva tangents in
Avon
these
for quite a
podcasts.
while.
Felix, what do you think is the most influential anime?
Most influential? I guess I could say something like Dragon Ball or stuff like that, but
Right.
I think we still need to understand how important the Ghibli films also were to anime
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
general.
how far we haven't talked about Ghibli.
Because Ghibli films really attract audiences in anime, even at a very young age, even if they don't even know what anime is.
Right.
Truly, I started watching Ghibli when I was like 4, I think.
Mhm.
I didn't know what anime was, but I guess I kind of initially got interested in this style. So yeah, and I probably wasn't the only one.
Right.
Imagine so.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
Ghibli definitely has like something for everyone. Like
Mhm.
Totoro, great for kids, but also like Princess Mononoke, for like older viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, you could even I like to rewatch Ghibli's very often, and every single time I have a different experience. I look at different things. I pay attention to other details. So yeah.
How long would you say you've been watching Ghibli films then? Since you were since you were 4.
Honestly, like 12, 14 years. I mean, yeah,
So
all
as you
my life, basically.
so as you grow up, you sort of have like these new perspectives, right? That
Yeah,
you
definitely.
back to like a Ghibli film that you used to watch, and you're like, oh hey, this I can have this more mature sort of outlook on this sort of thing. and whatnot.
Mhm. I think it's like very, I guess I don't know what the term would be, but like I think it's in the same like page as SAO where it like gets people interested in that thing. Because like for example, this Thanksgiving, a few days ago, I got my family to watch a Studio Ghibli film with me, and like they are not into anime at all. They are not into any kind of animated cartoon. They're not even into like Rick and Morty, BoJack, or anything like that. So it's like
Okay.
the fact that they like enjoyed it means that it's like really good as like
Mhm.
again either induction into the community, or I don't want to call it that, but like
Introduction.
Introduction, yes.
There we go.
yeah. So again, I think it has that influence of like mass appeal even to people who are not who have not consumed the art from that much.
Mm. Yeah, like I know like a lot of people obviously like grew up on Pokemon.
Yeah.
Which is definitely still anime, but like the vast majority of the time, many people don't really sort of treat Pokemon as that sort of realm of like this is what got me into anime. But the fact of the matter is, it still had this widespread appeal that a lot of people were able to latch onto, right?
Yeah. And then you get into like Yu-Gi-Oh, Bakugan, whatever, all those toy games.
Oh man, yeah.
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 And Beyblade, don't forget that.
Beyblade,
one.
yeah.
It's still a thing. Yo, I had no idea. Like apparently it's still like really, really big in Japan. I was really surprised.
Oh. Yeah, the stadiums nowadays they look like super different though, right? Don't they have, like the like
And it
the
has
tilting,
all the
like
yeah,
mechanism? Yeah.
and there are all these spin-offs like they're starting to get weird. I think there was one with they have wheels
Wheels,
instead of
yes.
yeah,
I was about to say that. Yeah, Bay wheels.
What?
Wait, that's like the stadium move, or
I
No,
don't know.
it's like you have a double-sided ramp, and then you like launch like wheels towards each other, and then they hit each other on the top, and then I think whatever one has stopped spinning
uh-huh.
loses or something. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh. All right. Well, that's beyond my time. I'm a grown man, and I can make very responsible purchases.
Oh man.
Holy moly.
Anything to sell toys.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's what cartoons were. You know, that's the purpose of cartoons in the first place. Yeah, or an original purpose of cartoons in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about we go on a bit of a tangent? Are you a fan of video games? What are your favorites?
So this is interesting in that, like, I admittedly didn't really grow up with video games. I had like a pretty kind of a strict upbringing, and so I didn't really get too much of an opportunity to play them. But however, I'm pretty knowledgeable about them. So like, I don't play Genshin Impact at all, but I know of every single character and like lore and how to do certain quests and whatnot.
Okay.
I admittedly, despite the fact that I'm an organizer for a meetup group called Bay Area Anime and Gaming, I'm very much just more on the anime side of things. So I can't really speak too much about that, fortunately.
Gotcha.
All
Yeah.
right. So like you kind of get like roped in, like the Genshin, all the Genshin stuff is like your friends just talk about it, and then like you just hear things, and then like you look into it, like the story maybe or something. And
Yeah, pretty much. I do draw. I draw a lot, or rather, I'm trying to draw a lot more. I have an Instagram that I can definitely plug at the very end.
Whoa.
But
let's go.
Yeah, but I'm starting to draw a lot more, and or I'm trying to draw a lot more, and like a lot of these characters, especially, are just like especially with given their overall designs and like fairly widespread appeal. It's something that is enough to make me, as somebody who doesn't even play the game, interested in picking up and trying to draw this character. And whatnot.
Right.
So. But yeah, no, I just play FGO, and that consumes my entire life.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Grand Order. Okay.
Oh yeah. Speaking of influential anime, by the way, that's definitely up there because that thing makes so much money.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so many adaptations.
Oh, dude, like Heaven's Feel, like I have friends that actually already went to see Heaven's Feel, and I'm just like, yo, I'm like impressed because you risked dying to go.
Yeah.
I mean, someone will argue it's worth it, but I don't know about
Heaven's Feel?
I'm okay with waiting. Just a little longer.
That's same here. But like the Demon Slayer movie made more name than your name. I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. Yeah, I don't know. People are crazy.
Stay home, everyone.
Fate,
wear a mask.
Fate, stay at home. Yeah.
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 Okay, so we have these funny little questions about honorifics. So the first one we kind of already answered. Alberto Nissan. How are you so good at games? All right, then the next one we'll go through. Albert Sama, what's something you do and don't like about working at Crunchyroll?
First of all, that's incredibly flattering.
Yeah.
But so I kind of mentioned the like part already. Crunchyroll overall has just, all my coworkers are incredibly friendly, and they come from a very big variety of backgrounds, especially with like the video side of things, right? It's not like you can go to college and say like, oh, I want to eventually work for an anime streaming company, so I take these courses. They're not going to have anything like that, right? So what does end up happening is that you get a bunch of people from a big variety of backgrounds. So do you know the movie? It was a B-rated movie that came out a while back called Velocipaster.
Oh my god, I've heard about it. I haven't watched it.
For those of you for those of you in the chat that are out of the know, it basically talks about this priest that one day is given the power to turn into a velociraptor, and he goes on an adventure killing Nazis, and
Amazing.
that's the entire movie. And apparently, I know one of the directors for that movie worked at Crunchyroll, and yeah, he hates talk. I mean, he either hates or loves talking about it. I've like brought it up to him once in Slack, and then he just completely ignored the question and just.
Whoa.
So I don't know, but I think he low key has some degree of pride about it. But yeah, no, basically we get a lot of people from like various different backgrounds, and everyone's basically a dork about something. So it's very, very easy to like just sit down and just like listen to people just talk about their backgrounds or how they ended up like going into this sort of field, I guess. For something that I dislike, I don't think it's really so much a Crunchyroll issue as it is just a general work issue. But after working in the industry all day, I feel like it can be kind of easy to get burnt out from anime, especially of all things. So it can be kind of like again going back to my Discord group, like when new anime come out, a lot of it comes down to like people getting really, really excited about various shows that come out. But like as somebody that admittedly has to hear listen to this sort of stuff being talked about all the time, once I get home, sometimes the last thing I really want to do is to like try to read subtitles, which is a bit unfortunate because I do really want to like maintain that sort of fan aspect because I still very, very much love anime and everything. But
Right.
yeah, it's really really weird because like for example with Demon Slayer, everyone's obviously talking about the fight between Tanjiro and Rui that happens in episode 19 and everything, and that's where like the whole fandom really, really took off and became this huge sort of phenomenon. I got bored with Demon Slayer at around episode 12. So it's not like a controversial. It's not. I'm not trying to be like have this as a controversial take, but like
Right.
I think it's in part because I was just I was exposed to this property so much, basically. Like Demon Slayer was obviously a really, really hot thing. It was all over social media. It was all like people wanted it for like promotional purposes and to be used for like for various screenings at cons and whatnot. And yeah, I feel like eventually I just kind of felt as if I got enough exposure to the show just from being in the environment where the show is sort of being developed, and so when I get home, I kind of want to do something else and whatnot. But it's a very pretty show. I will give it that much.
Right.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us here can like relate to that because we spend so much time thinking about anime. We're just such huge fans, and we do like end up writing articles, making fan works, and trying to, make something of our fandom. But that will cause us to turn our um our favorite things into work, and that just will burn you out a little bit.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's still very even with something like anime, it's still very good to like get a break and take get away from that and try something else and whatnot. Like I do really encourage that for anybody that does end up going to work at Crunchyroll or any other sort of anime related job. But like, yeah, fan demand will ask for one thing, and whether or not you actually like it or not, or something that you're really, really into or not, it's something that you do have to just keep pushing out because you know that it'll get the most reactions or the most like discussions going on, and yeah, so completely understandable. But that's the aspect I'm coming from anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. The next one is Albert San. Which
Yeah.
anime and manga or anime/manga world would you like to be isekai'd into?
Why did we go from Sama to Sun?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think you could have gone any higher. It's like, God, you should have started lower.
Yeah, why was Sama
Albert
first
Kami.
for
Why'd
a
you
second?
put Sama? Realistic answer would probably be One Piece because the world building in that series is so vast that honestly, with all of the main conflicts that occur in the main storyline, if you're not about that, there's probably some island somewhere in like the West Blue that's like just completely devoid and just out of all of this conflict. And at the same time, if you do want to have like a little bit more like flavor in your life, you just go out to sea and like have all these loud and wacky adventures. But point being, you're not in the direct line of action of like where things are happening.
Okay,
Yeah. So that's my realistic answer anyway.
I see.
Yeah, I thought about this a lot. Like a lot of people will probably say like, "Oh, I want to live in Dragon Ball world as a human." No, that thing's you're gonna die.
I'm not so sure about that one.
Yeah, like your universe is gonna get like ended like 7 times, and like
Yeah,
your
exactly.
planet's gonna end. Like it's gonna be really bad.
Yeah, I don't want to like have that anxiety. Like, yeah, I just want to like, live, I want to enjoy the positives of the world without having to like worry about the negatives and whatnot. But yeah, that's for me anyway. That's
I don't know. We can go around. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
please go around. It's kinda weird that you're just like asking me all these like, because I want to know what you guys think.
right. Isekai.
Konosuba. For me.
Really?
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
actually,
okay.
yeah.
I'm about that. Yeah.
As silly and crazy and like low-key dangerous as that world is, I just love like all the wacky world building that is built into Konosuba and how everything seems to connect it with one another in some kind of like crazy melting pot of irony that I'm just like, yes, I want to be in Konosuba. I don't even know if my favorite characters are going to be there, but I just want to be in that world. That
You can
sounds
also
like fun.
you can also make the argument that like most of the chaos and like all of like the wacky dangerous stuff that happens is because of the main 4 casts incompetence or anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Just stay the fuck away from them. It's easy. That's a good answer though. I didn't really think about that.
Definitely.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about them, and they're like all ones I don't want to be reincarnated into because there's like this huge
Yeah.
conflict.
Yeah, one world I find pretty interesting, but it would also be pretty dangerous, is the one in Kekai Sensen, so Bloodblood Battlefront.
Yeah.
This one is the anime had a lot of flaws. Maybe there wasn't enough world building, but it still looked really cool. I mean, just a big city with all these monsters and how it has evolved to develop around this new demographic. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I agree with that actually. I think especially with the whole aspect of like intermingling of like demon culture with human culture,
Yeah.
especially can like, broaden a lot of different sort of, can lead to a lot of different sort of discussions, I guess, which, yeah. But also there's a big hole in the middle of New York, so, maybe might not be the best thing.
Yeah, that can be troublesome.
Minor issue.
Minor issue, yeah. Gotcha.
Looks like Rohit's still thinking though.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're
No,
right.
like
Rohit's
I
like-
had some ones down, but now I don't want them because like here's the thing: like all the anime I watch are either like pretty realistic, or they're like super fantasy to the point where it's like dangerous, like kaiji or something.
Oh man.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
That would be.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
that'd be pretty terrifying. I mean, alternatively, you could just say like a regular slice of life anime and be like, I just want to live in Japan. Although
Oh, true.
Fair enough, yeah.
That might be a little bit too weeb and too telling
Yeah.
of how far we've sunk, I guess, into this whole anime hole. But hey, man, I respect it.
I mean, it's still like idealized Japan, so it's still
It
like
is, for
fantasy
sure.
Japan.
That-
yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
And
I
there are
mean-
also some slice of life anime with some fantasy aspect that can be pretty cool. I don't know, like Arya, the animation, maybe, I guess.
Oh, Arya. Oh, interesting.
It's a pretty cool world. I mean, you just have these new planets that we can access. Just go there, visit, and just chill.
Mm.
Yeah, not a whole lot of conflict in that show.
Yeah, which is pretty
Which is
good.
ideal.
I just remembered like maybe like New Game or how heavy are your dumbbells? Definitely.
Yo,
I want to go to
yo.
the Silverman gym.
Yo. Dude, I was expecting like all of a sudden to be like a bunch of swole weebs just walking around after that show finished airing. I was very disappointed when I did not see that. But,
Oh my
like,
god, I love that show
that
so
show
much.
is so good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I guess for my favorite, I guess I would say I would want to be reincarnated in like Shokugeki no Soma, because those people are so good at cooking
Honestly?
that I get to
Oh,
taste
okay.
that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Honestly, yeah.
I
Like
can see that. Yeah. I'm about that life.
Yeah. And then like the most dangerous part of like the world is like you get cooking from underworld chefs instead of like regular ones. Like that's the
yeah.
scariest part. Like,
Yeah, there's like the cooking yakuza. You gotta be
yeah.
careful.
Cooking yakuza. Oh man.
That show's great. I
Shoku.
love it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I think we've spent a lot of time with the interview questions, and I think you're getting tired of it as well. So let's
I
move
can go
on to
after a
like the
while.
discussion topics. Like
Sure.
I don't know, like I
I mean, we were already kind of discussing.
oh
Yeah,
for
I guess a
sure,
little
yeah.
bit.
But like I'm saying like the next questions I see are like mostly like I think you've already answered them or like
You can always tell me to elaborate a little bit more, or like
I
you know we
guess.
can actually just go into like discussions and everything. I'm totally
Yeah.
down.
All right.
Ooh, just a real quick one, because like we talked about anime burnout. So besides anime and manga related consumption,
Oh yeah.
what else do you do for fun?
So admittedly, so I really only have two things that I really can think of at the moment. I used to have a lot more, but I have a little bit of a problem where I tend to invest too heavily in too many things.
True.
So
Yeah, same.
yeah,
Same.
no, it's real. Like yeah, you want to just do so many things. So I draw a lot. As kind of mentioned before, I do have an Instagram account that I'd be happy to plug. But yeah,
We'll
I'm
just have
start
it. Yeah.
probably.
We'll just
But,
have it on the screen like right now.
Oh,
But
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean
like there. Okay. No. Yeah. Basically, I've been drawing a lot more. I've always been really, really into drawing, and so I got like a full-on like drawing tablet like just not
Whoa.
too long ago, and like I'm trying to make better use of nowadays, especially since during this long quarantine, I guess, and where you're stuck at home and can't really go outside. So using that opportunity to really try to like pick that up again. Other than that, a lot of my time has kind of been taken up also like managing the Bay Area Anime and Gaming Meetup Discord group, which I'm currently doing mod work for. Ever since the quarantine started, our group has really taken off in terms of just the number of people that have come to really look for interactions and whatnot. And yeah, it's not always just about anime either. Like it's sometimes we have aspects for people who want to talk about their careers or people that just want to share food pictures and whatnot. And yeah, so it's really helped keep me sane, I guess, throughout this entire quarantine because otherwise I'm just stuck in my room most of the time. Um, those are the two things that are most heavily that I'm working on most heavily nowadays. A while back, I was studying a lot of Japanese because one, it's useful for my career, and two, because I wanted to pass the Japanese language proficiency test. So I was pretty hard at work over there for a while. And a while back, I was also playing a lot of competitive Smash Bros.
Whoa.
I guess like video game wise, that
I
was
see.
one thing I was.
Hey,
Yeah, I wasn't good at it, but but like eventually part of the reason why I stopped was because initially I was going to these tournaments to sort of meet friends and sort of improve with them and get a bunch of support that way. But since the only thing that's really available right now is Nintendo Online, which is subpar at best.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one day, maybe once quarantine is lifted and tournaments start becoming a thing again, I might pick it back up. We'll see.
Okay. Pretty interesting. Yeah, so like would you say that like there's like there's like a group of activities that like people who like enjoy anime also enjoy, or would you say like it doesn't matter, like it's really irrespective of whether or not you watch anime? Like I feel like there are groups of activities that are like associated, like for example like Genshin.
Genshin.
Yeah,
gaming
maybe
in
like the prime
general,
example.
Okay.
That's true.
Like
I
also art.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that because if you really boil, I feel like if you really boil anime, the action, or rather the action of watching anime, really down to its core. I think for the most part, you can kind of think of anime watching as a very solitary sort of individual sort of activity, I guess. Um, and so a lot of the activities that we would immediately relate to anime, thereby sort of they're more they're less group activities, but more and more of like this sort of you sort of do things by yourself, I guess, for lack of a better term. I don't want to say introverted because I think that particular term can be taken in many different ways
Yeah.
nowadays, with how society has really changed to perceive certain activities and whatnot. But yeah, certainly like more so than some other activities that you normally relate to something else, I guess.
Mhm.
Like anime fans, still can be really, really into sports and whatnot,
Right.
but it's not something that you would immediately associate, I
Mhm.
guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing that you brought up, like, oh, like watching is like mostly solitary.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the anime like that I enjoyed watching, or like even like for that matter, like playing visual novels or like doing that kind of stuff. I really enjoy doing it with friends and like the social aspect of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, you make your own theories about what's gonna happen next. Oh, you like try to interpret the work. Like, I guess that's like, I guess that's different for me. But I think there's kind of like, uh, well, I guess what would you say? There's kind of like a shared culture between like you and another person when you're doing something at the same time, right? And
Mm.
so it's like the difference between like posting on a forum and sharing that culture versus like being in a call with someone and talking about that culture while it's you're consuming it is like
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of otaku culture has just like shifted to include things that are outside of the original otaku stereotype. So like seriously, I think that you'll find anime fans all across the globe doing completely different things from one another, and like you can sort of try and draw connections between like the types of anime that they watch, but in anime in general, I think at this point has grown to the point that it has a broad enough reach that it can reach all sorts of people. Yeah.
yeah.
Going slightly off of topic then, would you say that anime has started to hit the mainstream, or do you think it's still like sort of on its way there?
Yeah,
It depends
loaded
on the anime.
topic. Yeah.
It's
I
very
don't
loaded.
think it's mainstream yet. I mean, you see a lot of people who know like MHA or stuff like that, but you're definitely never going to talk to someone about, I don't know, like Strike Witches or this kind of show.
Mhm.
It's still a very very niche genre,
I mean,
Mm.
whether we like
yeah,
it or not.
and we're talking about like Western audiences, I think, right?
Yeah.
For the most part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I remember a while back that like Kim Kardashian posted a picture of 02 from Darling in the Franxx.
Yeah.
That's something along the lines of like, yeah, this is like what what inspires me to do my hair or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty telling because like it's not just like some random like it's not just like My Hero Academia or like some other really big ongoing show. Well, I mean, Darling in the Franxx was pretty big, I guess, but point being, it was like a very very niche show that was about angsty teenagers piloting mechs with depression, and
Right.
it's not something that you would really sort of see a whole lot, or you would not really sort of see unless like anime has started to like become a little bit more, I guess, accepted, I guess, towards like Western audiences and whatnot.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of mainstream acceptance, we've kind of gotten there, but it's kind of difficult to really pin down when or like what a full mainstream anime like community would look like, because we might actually be already in that era, or at least like building up really close to that era, and I don't really know I don't know what that'll look like.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
And I still think that
yeah.
there's really still a big divide between, I don't know, like someone who's going to spend $1,000 on anime figures and someone
Yeah,
who
yeah.
Right.
has
I think,
just watched one anime on Netflix.
Yeah.
There's still a really big divide, and I don't think we can really say they share a certain culture to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like
May-
every show is a culture unto itself. Like I don't think you can like
yeah.
Yeah,
That's true to
you
some
can make that
extent.
argument.
But yeah, maybe if it's like, if you can stand up in front of the class and say, I like anime, and then the next person says, I like watching football, and those two people are like everyone just goes like, oh, okay, that's cool for both of them, then I think we've pretty much reached the point where
Yeah.
mainstream is. Yeah.
I mean, something that's indicative is that I remember I was reading an article on Crunchyroll site, and it was like 5 of the top 15 like best-selling graphic novels in the United States were manga. They're like a lot. They're MHA and like Demon Slayer and Chainsaw Man, something like that.
Mhm.
So I think that's like indicative of we're turning more into like not accepting, I guess, but like it's way more popular than like anyone really thinks it is. I think.
Yeah. And we need more people in like bio majors to be more open about anime because I'm a bio major and every time I say, "Hey guys, I like anime. Do you like anime?" and everyone's just like, "What are you talking about?" Meanwhile, like
Bio majors.
meanwhile in like
Bio majors.
CAA,
Yeah.
we've got like people from like comp sci all over and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That might just be
Like,
more of a Berkeley thing.
yeah, that might be a Berkeley thing, yeah. So
Gotcha.
Yeah. So will it go mainstream? I mean, has it already gone mainstream? Like
I-
I don't think we can really judge that. I think all we can do is just like interact with people and like interact with people who are accepting of who we are, and then if someone's not accepting of who we are, we don't really need to interact with them.
Yeah, and I think like what we kind of mentioned before in regards to like influential anime, right?
Yeah.
There's certainly some things that are very much accepted. Can serve as a really good gateway, right? So we
Right.
mentioned Ghibli before, we mentioned Pokemon. Like these are all of these IPs have very universal appeal to them.
yeah.
And whether you like it or not, whether or not it has bridged the gap, you know, it will attract an audience regardless of background and whatnot.
Okay.
And another one is like Akira. Like
Oh, yeah.
huge
Yeah,
in the
definitely.
West. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you see Kanye West making his like music
Oh my
videos
God.
like
Yeah.
Oh God, Kanye, please.
but yeah, no, like a ton of like celebrities, a ton of people like I people that have never watched anime before come up to me and they're like, "Oh man, Akira, have you seen that? That's
Ooh.
amazing."
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Crunchyroll did a thing a while back in regards to, I think I don't follow sports at all, but like I think Mike Daniels, I think, is like a huge anime fan, and so we did like a really big interview there, and he talked about how anime overall shaped how he sort of perceived life, the way things are right now, and like helped him get through like certain hardships and whatnot. We did a thing with Megan Thee Stallion a while back before she did WAP, and yeah, no, she's super cool. Like, but point being, yeah, like especially I think with these sort of big personalities sort of like coming out and being like, hey, this is something I like, that, you know, maybe it was something that people sort of perceived as an activity to keep to yourself. Like if you have like people like these like A-list celebrities or like big names coming out and saying like, yeah, I like this particular niche aspect, it will be more encouraging for people to like, you know, come out and sort of accept that, you know, becoming a little
Yeah.
bit more willing to talk about it, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely always interesting hearing about where people like, you know, how anime shaped their lives essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I was like before I really met anyone who like liked anime, like I kind of had like this stereotype about like at least like I had the stereotype of a weeb as someone who is like like when I thought anime I thought of Pokemon, or I thought of like shows that are like more for kids or
Mhm.
for more for selling toys. And so like, I thought they were just like someone who was like sucked into that and like super addicted to that, and like that was not something I wanted. But like now being someone who watches a lot of anime, I see you don't have to buy the toys or like to do any of that kind of stuff to like enjoy it. Like
Mhm.
it's completely different. Like you can't like judge people so generally.
Oh man,
For
like
sure.
back when I was in middle school, I thought anime was just like either like shonen shows or shonen like battle shonens like Bleach or were high school DxD. And so I was like,
No
yeah, no,
in
I'm not interested in either of those. I think I'll pass.
and look at how far you've come.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's interesting you say that because when I was in college, okay, first things first, when I was in college, my anime club was terrible. But so
Ooh.
props to CAA for putting together such a functional community, if at all. But yeah, no, I think a lot of the the things that people would say about anime was that, or it'll be very, very easy to categorize in like, hey, okay, this is definitely a shonen show. This is definitely a shoujo show. And then, oftentimes when people would go about introducing like what anime has to offer, they usually use like shoujo, shonen, seinen, oh god, ojose, just to categorize everything. But like, especially nowadays, you see that it's a lot more. It's a lot more difficult to categorize
Yeah.
that sort of
Right,
stuff
yeah.
now because like you can have various aspects from multiple quadrants, I guess, that like sort of everything sort of works together.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's really where some of the appeal for anime comes from because it's not just like, oh, you have to be really, really into super fighting action about angsty teenage boys to enjoy anime anymore.
Right.
It's more just like, hey, if you have this aspect of your life that you really relate to, maybe there's an anime out there for you that talks about this in a more serious or maybe a lighthearted manner and whatnot.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
think a lot of people when they get into anime is like the thing that gets people into anime is realizing that categories that they had in their head, regardless of what they were, anime is just so broad and is able to cover a variety of topics and like ideas that really it's really just like a really big umbrella that has a lot of tinier and tinier umbrellas, and you can find your own special umbrella, the little red one with like sakura petals on it or something.
Yeah.
And this is my umbrella. I finally found it.
Nice, nice.
Hmm. So then that begs the question now. Like, have your umbrellas changed? Like, do you think, well, like, how do your tastes change like over time, or are they just set from like a while ago? I don't know.
So
I'm fairly young in my anime watching career. I've only watched for like 2 years, so I can't really say.
Mm.
So at least for me anyway, I kind of did mention before that sort of being in the industry makes it a little bit difficult to sort of cash in on some of the excitement that does come with certain shows. Um, so like I mentioned before, like Demon Slayer is a very, very big thing. And that, I fortunately have not gone completely head first. Like I haven't completely consumed, it's not something I really, follow the fandom for. Similarly, like back in the day when my first show which was One Piece, was ongoing. That was basically that was basically all I would talk about, and thereby related shows such as like Naruto and Bleach would just come a little bit naturally. Whereas as I grew up, um, certainly being exposed to a lot more anime, and also subsequently having a lot less time to watch anime,
Mm-hmm.
Some of these certain aspects about shows become a little bit less appealing. Like I know that I really need to sit down and watch Hunter x Hunter, but
Okay.
like
Mhm.
I don't have time for that.
Right.
So many episodes, but
Same.
like yeah, no, I people keep telling me, but stuff like that, and then like as we grow older and go through life, it's a lot easier to sort of gravitate towards a particular genre more so than you did when you were a lot younger. Like
Okay.
a lot of like what happens in many romance dramas can just be solved by active communication between both parties.
Yeah, but that would be no fun.
I know, but it's frustrating.
It is really frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you guys? What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah. For a second there, I blanked on what the question even was, and I was like, oh,
Oh.
okay. Yeah. It
Right.
was a changing taste over time, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was like my discovery of anime was through like first of all, I went on a trip to my family's like birthplace, which is in Indonesia, and
Oh,
like
whoa.
in
Yeah.
Asian country like that, they have like anime channels, which we in
Right.
the States, we kind of didn't have, I mean, Toonami was there, but I was like, it was too
Yeah.
late in the night, and I was like, I didn't watch that. And so yeah, I was like watching Inazuma 11 with my brother, but at the time it was like kind of like Pokemon, so I was like, oh, this is just for like kids. It happens to be from Japan. That's cool. But then I saw a Japanese dub, Indonesian subtitles of Ore Gairu.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, that was your first anime?
It was like, yeah, it's my first anime, as well as
Wow.
the thing that got me really into anime was Sankyo no Terror, Terror and Resonance.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
What?
I saw
Crazy.
one trailer in Indonesia, which
Uh-huh.
was just the like just them riding their motorcycles through the snow, and then like the spray paint of Vaughn, and I was like, oh, that's so edgy. I love it.
Wow.
I need to see this.
Oh
I've
wow.
never seen anything like it.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of that as an
Yeah, it's like
How
you
does
skip
the
some
story?
steps. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so like I feel like when I discovered Code Geass is when I was like, this is what anime is to me. Like this is the image of anime that is in my mind when I think about it. And
Mhm.
so like it melds that bit of like maturity that was in like Terra Resonance, and like the visual um like
Flair?
Ore Gairu is like really colorful, at least like the first season. And so like that, yeah, just like colorful with a lot of dialogue that I didn't understand at the time, but now I do because I watched it in English now. But yeah, oh man, Code Geass is great, and I still love it to this day. Yeah.
Wow.
For sure. Did you watch season 3 of Oregairu?
Yes, I did.
You like it?
Very happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Very satisfying ending.
Yeah. I mean, I was sad for a few people or a few characters in the story, but you know,
Gotcha.
turned out pretty well.
Yeah, especially like the break. I did not mean to go off on a Oregairu tangent, I promise. But like especially after the break between like season 2 and 3, like how many years was it?
Oh yeah, it was like it was a long time.
It was
It was
a long
like
time, right?
5 or some
Holy
5 or
crap.
more.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was waiting for that for a long time because I didn't think that season 3 was gonna happen. And when I heard about it, I was just like, what timeline am I in? Did I
A best timeline.
Oh man.
Gotcha. Anyways, yeah, sorry to get off topic.
All right, so for me, or do you want to
go
go?
for it. No, you go for
Okay,
it.
so yeah, like I said, I started watching Ghibli when I was very young. I'm from France, and it was a really big thing there, like really big thing, and the dubs were notoriously great. Hayao Miyazaki himself watched some of the French dubs when he watched his movies, to give you an idea.
Oh.
And they even had some great actors for them, like Jean Reno. I don't know if you guys know him for Porco Rosso.
Oh, okay.
Not too familiar.
And so yeah, but when I really started watching anime, it was Sao, friend in middle school, introduced me to it. So yeah, kind of the perfect show to get introduced. And yeah, I guess I started watching, some slice of life like Sakura Sunopeta Kanojo or Chunibyo. I also really liked Fullmetal Alchemist, still one of my favorite shows.
Right.
And yeah, I guess I just kept watching anime, and yeah, here I am. And also, yeah, my taste in manga, however, didn't really change. I always liked Urasawa, like 20th Century Boy and this kind of stuff.
Yo, all right.
So yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. I guess I'll talk about what got me into anime, but like I'm kind of a zoomer when it comes to this stuff. So
I mean, that's totally fine, man.
Like when I was a kid, I was like into like Bakugan, Beyblade, Pokemon, like all that, right? But, like mainly into the gaming side. But like I also watched like on Saturday morning Cartoon Network or whatever. Middle school came around. I didn't like the new Pokemon games when they came out, and so like I ditched that part of myself. I completely like rejected that part of myself for like all of middle school until high school, and then like I would make fun of like people who are weeaboos, and I kind of feel bad about that, but whatever. So yeah, and then actually like I was super into gaming. I was super into like first person shooters, and like I was told, oh, this game Osu, like this will help you
Oh my
improve your
God.
aim. So then
Oh, that's
I'm like
Oh,
big
yeah.
into Osu.
Yeah.
I'm like huge into Osu.
What?
And then my friends in Osu, right? Like their anime OPs like all through Osu, like the whole thing is anime art style. But then my friends in Osu, they got me into they had like a movie night or something. We watched another, like all 12 episodes
Oh,
of another.
another.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And like, yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, I watched another and then like I was like, shit, this is crazy. Like I'm generally
Oh.
someone who likes like the psychological thriller kind of ideas. So
Hey, let's go. Yeah.
and then yeah, from there I just watched SAO and then like the normal stuff, MHA, whatever. But this was like 2018 or 2019, so like very recent.
Yeah. I mean, you got to start somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
And then, even then, like, I mean, starting with something like, another is, I wouldn't even call, I mean, most people would say just like, yeah, I just started with MHA and I got really into it.
Yeah.
So I'd say something, I think that's, it's very telling, it's,
Right.
it's a very unique sort of entry point, I guess.
For sure.
Another is definitely still one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely.
The way he just falls onto the umbrella.
I'm still terrified of umbrellas to this day, but at the same time, I just laugh to myself. Why? Oh my! Another.
Yeah. So yeah, actually the last Conchu issue was about first anime. So if you guys want to look at more
Oh.
like staff
Yeah.
videos, definitely check that out. It's super
Yeah.
cool.
Heck yeah, plug that
Yeah.
magazine.
Yeah, do it. All right. I think let's start like wrapping it up. Does anyone have any like final thoughts about the discussion they want to get in before we're wrapping up? Anything you wanted to mention?
I mean, when I was talking about Code Geass, I
Right.
think I needed to mention like the flexibility of its tone. Like it can go from really silly and to pretty serious and emotional, but like
Yeah.
with the caveat of like you don't take it too seriously. I don't know. Anime's like ability to have all sorts of different like storytelling techniques and different like tones throughout each of its various shows, like that's just impressive. That's cool.
Right.
Yeah, really speaks to its um it speaks to the fact that you can really find anything you're looking for inside of maybe even one anime, but like
Yeah, it's super
in
flexible.
general.
Like
Yeah.
I think at least like films with like actual people are not as flexible without like a bunch of editing or like a bunch of effects or something. But like anime can do it very simply and without making it feel jarring.
Yeah, it's a medium that's evolving really, really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all the more apparent with like how, I mean, Netflix recently had that announcement how they were producing like what 5, 6 new series exclusive to their platform
Wow.
and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, it's something that people are definitely taking a lot more of a notice to, and I guess like it's a really little, I mean, not too surprising, but like competition for it to like anime acquisition and production has really, really been ramping up these last few years. I don't want to go as far as to say like the anime is like another golden renaissance because like the initial renaissance that was like the first big anime boom is really, really hard to replicate. But
Yeah.
it's definitely something to pay attention to, especially if you're interested in like media and video and film, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the last bit of advice in regards to the industry.
Super.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah. So we'll just wrap it up for today. Thank you everyone for coming on. It was really nice talking to you guys. Special thanks to Albert for coming out, telling us about Crunchyroll.
My pleasure.
So yeah. This month's Kakanchu issue is about Yakuza Mafia. So if you're interested in that, please go check it out. Cal.moe, everything from Conchu to our Discord, to our Twitter. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Does anyone have any social media plugs?
Albert, go ahead.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my chance. All right. So I guess I'll plug our bag server. So I said it before, Bay Area Anime and Gaming is this all-encompassing sort of social platform that we used to do prior to COVID. We used to be very, very big in regards to doing IRL events. Actually, one of the events that you guys probably, a couple of you guys might have been familiar with, is that I used to give tours of the Crunchyroll office to CAA, and hopefully integrate you guys into whatever event that we were holding at the Crunchyroll office that day. Um, so yeah, if you say are getting ready to graduate or and want to keep doing anime related stuff, like definitely come check out the BAG Bay Area Anime and Gaming Meetup group. We are on Meetup. We have a Facebook page, and we also have a Discord server that can be reached at discord.gg/BAAG BAG. Other than that, I do have an Instagram because I've started to draw, and I don't know. I only started this 2 weeks ago, so I don't exactly know what this whole thing is going to be so far. But I am send_nuggets NUGGETZ
Okay.
on Instagram if you're interested. And otherwise, yeah, send if you have any sort of questions about working or like just Crunchyroll related stuff. Be happy to answer them. I am actually in the Cow Anime Jalpa Discord, and I see you guys post there all the time. I just kind of creep around though. Call me out, and I'll probably reply.
Lurker.
That's it for me though.
Wow. Okay. Anyone else want to plug anything?
I mean, everything that we need to plug is in the links down in the description and on the side, hopefully, of this video. So yeah, we're chilling.
All right. Yeah. Just if anyone wanted personal. Okay. If not, that's perfectly fine.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a nice winter break. We're not sure when the next one is going to be, but there's a lot of interest, at least from the cast side. So there might be another one. Stay tuned. Peace, guys.